can't complain. I'm fat and sassy watching a little football. So, we're going to be on side. Like I said, I think he said he's fixing to get fired up here in a minute. Oh, Pumpkinhead, PH.
Yeah.
Before I was talking to that boy up there in Ozark, I told him you was getting around, getting ready.
Oh, for Roger. Alrighty. I guess we'll get this round going here. I don't know how many people we got out there listening, but anyway, we'll get it started for the Arkansas Hog Yard CB Group Net. Meet on this channel 24 AM every Saturday night at 8 p.m. So anybody out there that wants to check in, anyone, anywhere, go ahead and call now.
Oh, Roger. PA's Old Country Moose and...
Roger.
Checking in.
Alrighty, Country Moose and Flower Top, I've got you both in there. Good evening time to both of you.
Evening time to you, Mr. PA.
You got Shady checking in.
Got you, Shady, and Stallion, I've got you over at Ozark.
Cattle Grabber here.
Alright, copy that. Grabber, I've got you in there. Good evening.
Net control.
Go ahead.
101, Scorpio checking in from Benton, Arkansas. We're generally not home on Saturday nights, but we are tonight, so we're checking in.
Alrighty, good deal. Glad to hear you out there this evening, and I've got you checked in.
PH, Polka Dot listening.
Alrighty, Polka Dot, I've got you checked in. Good evening time to you.
Good to hear everybody back home.
Yeah, I know, it's good to hear a bunch of people out there. We got a good round going here.
Think it'll be better than last week?
Maybe.
PH check-in roustabout and better half.
Alrighty, roustabout and better half. I've got you both in there.
PH.
Go ahead, sir.
Little Angel, Metalhead, Go Roper, and Dirty Dog in Hoxie.
Alright, I've got Little Angel, Metalhead, Goat Roper, and Dirty Dog. Anybody else out there wanting to check into the Arkansas Hog Yard CB Group Net? Go ahead and call now.
Net control, Princess checking in.
Alrighty, Princess, I have got you checked in. Good evening to you, and glad to hear you out there. Anybody else out there wanting to check in to the Arkansas Hog Yard CB Group Net, go ahead and call now. Go Roper, do you hear anybody out east or to the west? Well, I guess he gone.
Who?
You.
What about it?
I was just asking if you heard anybody out east or toward the west.
Well, I heard somebody, but I don't know where they were.
For Roger.
Rod Hammer in Heber Springs.
Alrighty, Rod Hammer in Heber Springs. I've got him in there.
Anyone else out there, Rod Hammer?
In Walrus.
Say again? Oh, okay, we got you.
Hello?
Check in?
Hello?
I've got you in there, Walrus. I've got you in there, Walrus.
All right, Rod Hammer, I guess there's nobody else up there? All right, I appreciate it, Rod Hammer. Anybody up in the northeastern part of Arkansas wanting to check into the Hog Yard group?
Pretty quiet out there tonight.
Yeah, it is. Anybody up in the northern part of Arkansas wanting to check into the Hog Yard and check in?
Good evening, Moose, if you can hear me.
Evening time, yeah, I get you.
Was that 454 out there? Who was that? Go ahead. Oh, Roger.
Who's that out there audioing? Well, good evening, 454. This is Go Roper. Good evening, 454. So, are you checking in? Copy that PH 454 around double wells.
Yep, I got him checked in. I can just barely hear him squeaking through, but I got him checked in. I've got Mosquito Man in there too. Alrighty, anybody else out there wanting to check in to the Arkansas Hog Yard CB Group Net? Go ahead and call now, Brega.
Somebody was underneath that. Who's that out there? I believe he got him.
Country Moose, did you catch that? They said red somebody out there in Arkadelphia.
Who was that down there in Arkadelphia? Ground wire and 500 in Arkadelphia. Did I get that right? Your 500 in Arkadelphia and, ground wire in Arkadelphia and 500 down around Louisiana, right? Did you get that, PH?
Yep, I got him in there.
Down around Louisiana, I could barely hear him in there.
Okay, copy 500 in El Dorado. Anybody else out there wanting to check in to the Arkansas Hog Yard CB Group Net? Go ahead and call now. 124 taking check-ins.
Y'all have a good evening out there. I'm going to wander back up home to 40. We got on.
Alrighty there, Country Moose. Appreciate your help tonight, and thanks for checking in. You sounded good as always. Enjoy the rest of your evening and the rest of your weekend.
You too, Mr. P8. Sounding good out there. Got a good, clean station. We'll gone. Good evening there, Moose.
Have a good evening there, Country Moose.
All right, all of you sounding good. We gone. And Flying Top said her too.
Alrighty. Give her my best. Did I hear Big D down there towards Malvern? Go ahead, 124 PH, listening. I guess not. I thought I heard Big D out there, but anyway, 124 taking check-ins for the Arkansas Hog Yard CB Group Net. Anyone, anywhere wanting to check in, go ahead and call now.
Gunslinger Wild Mountain checking in.
Copy that there, Gunslinger. Good evening time to you. Sounding good.
The info, appreciate it.
You are sounding good there, Gunslinger.
The info, appreciate it.
You still running that KL503?
A couple of y'all keyed up together there.
You still running that KL503?
Yeah, the info.
Well, it's making the trip down here just fine and dandy.
The info, I got a different radio I'm running now, but yeah, I'm still running that 503.
Roger, that's what I'm running right now.
The info, sounding good.
Alrighty, anybody else? Anybody else anywhere wanting to check into the Arkansas Hog Yard CB Group Net? Go ahead and call now.
PH, check double barrel in.
Good evening time, Double Barrel. Good evening. Good to hear from you again. I've got you checked in.
Alright, appreciate it.
I thought I heard somebody coming in there from El Dorado.
Okay, I think, what was it, 5151 from El Dorado? Alrighty, 51 in El Dorado. I've got you checked in. Anybody else wanting to check in, go ahead and call now. 124 taking check-ins. I thought I heard a break out there. Try it again. 124 taking check-ins. Hello.
I thought they said 12, 12, 12 or something.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Or something similar to that.
Heard somebody calling out to 124 there, PH.
Copy. Try it again. Try it again. 124 listening. Can't quite pull them out. If anybody can relay, or if anybody can hear the station down there, I think they're all down south. If anybody can relay, go ahead and call now. Okay, I got the 454. I got the 454 out there. I didn't quite catch the rest.
I think it was out of Pine Bluff.
Okay, can you hear him pretty good there, Grabber?
That's the unit out of Pine Bluff. You got a copy?
That station out of Pine Bluff, try it again. Keep trying until we can get you. Keep going. Anybody else out there? Anybody else anywhere wanting to check into the Arkansas Hog Yard CB Group Net? Go ahead and call now. 124 PH taking check-ins. Break.
I can hear him out there, but I just can't quite make him out there. Grabber, are you able to hear him?
He said 454 down there south of Pine Bluff.
Okay, I've got 454. I've got 454 in there. Is there anybody else down south that wants to check in?
Heard Rebel 390 over at McRae.
All right, I've got Rebel 390 in there. Anybody else?
Rebel 390, did you copy? We got you. All right, 390, we got you.
Goat Roper, you hearing anybody else down south? It seems like there's quite a few down there. I don't know how many we've checked in so far.
I'm not hearing anybody. I don't know. Is there anybody down south Arkansas wanting to check into the Hog Yard group? Hey, Mosquito Man, is there anyone out there wanting to check in? Appreciate it, PH. Mosquito Man says he ain't heard nobody else.
Yeah, I got him in there pretty good. I can hear him halfway decent, so. Alright, if there's anybody else that does pop in there towards the end, we'll go ahead and make sure to pick them up as well. Anyway, anybody else out there wanting to check in? Anyone, anywhere wanting to check into the Arkansas Hog Yard CB Group Net? Go ahead and call now. Break.
251 El Dorado, is that who you're saying?
Yeah, I got him checked in.
All right, 251, he says he's got you checked in. Anyone else down there in South Arkansas wanting to check in? All right, I appreciate it.
Go ahead, Breaker. Alright, I copied Little Rebel, got you checked in, and then there was a couple more. Anybody else anywhere wanting to check in to the Arkansas Hog Yard CB Group Net, go ahead and call now.
I can hear folks talking way off out there in the distance, but I can't make out what they're saying.
Rebel 390, I have got you checked in. Good evening time to you, sir, if you can hear me. Man, not too much, just trying to hold down the fort. Just trying to hold down the fort, but everything's going good. Glad to hear you in there. You sounded good. Alrighty, well, good to hear there, Rebel 390. Good to hear, and glad everything's going well. 124 taking check-ins for the Arkansas Hog Yard CB Group Net. Anyone, anywhere?
PH, did you get Lumberjack?
Yeah, he texted me. I got him in there.
Okay.
Okay, copy that. I've got Lady Rebel checked in there. Okay, copy that. Copy the 765 Wild Man out there in the mobile. I got him checked in. Roger. Well, it's starting to get a little rough and tough out there. The conditions are kind of up and down, but I'm catching most of what you're saying. I'm catching about 80%. Alrighty, anybody else out there wanting to check into the Arkansas Hog Yard CB Group Net, go ahead and call now, 124PH, taking check-ins. Alrighty, Goat Roper, you hearing anybody else?
What'd you say, PH?
I said, are you hearing anybody else out there?
No.
Alright, Roger. Gunslinger, you still out there on Y Mountain?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, do you have any relays? You hearing anybody else out there?
No, sir, I'm not hearing anybody.
Alrighty. Well, we'll keep it open for a couple more minutes here. We're just 1 minute past 8:30. So we're probably going to close up shop here in a little bit. We'll give one more call and see if we can't pick up anybody else.
Man, Gunslinger, I gotta say, your radio sounds fantastic.
Man, I appreciate it. It's President Lincoln 2+.
Roger, I'm talking on a McKinley.
Saying, folks, yeah, it's just a stock mic and all stock.
Roger that. Well, it surely sounds good. I guess, though, the elevation helps.
Saying, well, your radio sounding good. Everybody out there sounding good tonight.
Alrighty, we'll go ahead and make one last call here. Anybody else? Last call. Last call for check-ins to the Arkansas Hog Yard CB Group Net. Anyone, anywhere wanting to check in, go ahead and call now. That includes anyone on the live stream and any relays or by proxy check-ins. Go ahead and call now. Go ahead and give a call out there, see if anybody comes back to you.
Who?
You.
What do you want me to call out? What part of the state?
Oh, just anywhere. I guess you can spin it all four corners or whatever.
Well, I did that about 15 minutes ago. Didn't hear anybody.
Roger.
I kind of think pretty much whoever wanted to check in has already got checked in. And then somebody says something. Who was that out there? Never mind.
Maybe not. All right. Okay, with that, I think we'll go ahead and close this round of the Arkansas Hog Yard CB Group Net. Just remember, we meet on this channel, Channel 24 AM, every Saturday night at 8 p.m. So if anybody wants to join us next week, feel free to either on the live stream or over the air if conditions are right. So anyway, everyone have a great, wonderful, fantastic evening and a great rest of the weekend. I'm going to put some numbers to this list here, and we'll pop it up here on the live stream and put it out there, and that way people can take a look at it in the recording. Anyway, I'll be standing by.
Gunslinger, you still out there?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was trying to remember what it was you do for a living. I can't remember. You told me one time.
He prints money.
Yeah, I just made a new stack tonight.
Print money, huh?
No, I work in a body shop.
Okay, Roger. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
57. I'll be 58 next month.
He's a youngin'.
Roger that, roger that. Yeah, well, I don't get to talk to you very often, but I will say your radio's sounding great.
Well, I appreciate it. McKinley's sounding good there, too.
Don't give him a big head.
I ain't got a big head about my radio right now. I'm running on my backup system.
Hey, listen, I've seen you. You're a 7 5/8 if you're an inch.
Say what now, Goat Roper?
I've seen you. You're a 7 5/8 if you're an inch.
Oh, okay.
Hat size, that is.
What'd you say?
Your hat size, 7 5/8 if you're an inch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I got the big head, huh?
Yeah, well, no, I've seen a guy in the Navy with an 8. I ain't kidding either. He was an ensign, too, man. He was a butter bar. Good grief, I thought it was the afro. He said, nah, he come back, he got a haircut, was real close shaved, and still the hat fit right. That's a noggin right there, size 8.
He sure had the big head, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
Now, I ain't trying to have a big head about my radio at all.
Nay, neither.
Like I said, I'm operating off my backup system right now. But it's doing pretty good. I mean, it's doing pretty good. It's getting out.
Now, my backup system is a...
It's Gunslinger.
I'm sorry. Oh, Gunslinger, you're down there in Perry County, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm over in Perry County on Wild Mountain.
All right. See, I'm thinking 6 gun over in Atkins. Dadgummit. I tell you what, let me turn the house around. Oh, that's bad. It ain't part-time. It ain't Alzheimer's. It ain't part-timers. It's 2 people with a close signal and a close handle. Let me turn that house around, and I will get right down there to you. Gunslinger. I'll turn down towards Perry County, and I'll step on that walrus. There we go. Somewhere right in there.
Now, I got a 8 and 9 on you there.
Well, I'm not through turning yet.
No, yeah, you're over 9, about a 10 there now.
Uh-huh. See, now, walrus, I got 6 gun at Atkins and Gunslinger in Perry County. I got a couple of them. I got to remember they're close to same.
Well, yeah, Roger.
Well, nobody else is having troubles with it.
Yeah, okay. All right. Hey, I'll be in Conway Monday or Tuesday. I got to take Little Angel to the eye doctor. So you say you're working or not working?
Tuesday, I believe I'm working. Monday I don't have school, but I am working. So, well, let me see what day or what time I'm working, and we can figure that out. Go ahead.
Yeah, y'all have a super fine evening. I'm freezing my tail off, so I'm gonna go in the house.
All right. Go get you something warm to drink. We'll catch you later there, Grabber. Have a good one.
Hey, I loaned my heater to my brother, and I'm sitting out here freezing, so I figured I've had enough. I'm going to go in. Y'all have a super fine evening. Be Grabber. We gone.
All right, later on, Grabber. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just barely.
Yeah, Roger. I'm working on my baby aspirin right now. My big box went out, and my antenna's not quite as high as it once was, so.
Yeah, I've got about 5 pounds of just static over here, so I'm having trouble hearing a little bit of everybody.
Roger that. Well, go on in the house and get yourself warm there.
10-4, y'all have a fantastic evening.
All right. So we got a grand total of 30 check-ins tonight. Country Moose, Flower Top, Shady, Stallion, Grabber, 101 Scorpio, Polka Dot. Let's see, where are we at? Roustabout, Better Half, Little Angel, Metalhead, Goat Roper, Dirty Dog, Princess, Woody, Rod Hammer, Walrus, 454, Mosquito Man, Red Wire. I think that's probably supposed to be Ground Wire. 500, Gunslinger, Lumberjack, Double Barrel, 251, Rebel 390, Little Rebel, Lady Rebel, 765, Wild Man, and myself.
Well, alrighty then. Who's that fellow that lives out there, out there on the highway going to Woolly Hollow?
Polka Dot.
Polka Dot.
Right.
Roger.
Y'all have a good one. I'm going to get off this time.
Alrighty there, Gunslinger. Well, it sure was good to hear from you. Like I said, your radio sounded great. Would love to hear from you more often. But I know how it goes. You only get so much time to talk on the radio. But anyhow, have a good evening there.
All right, y'all have a good evening. I sure will do.
All right, you be safe, and we'll talk to you again, I'm sure. You know, you sound a whole lot like 6-Gun over at Atkins. I ain't kidding.
10-4, you say he's in Atkins?
Yes, sir. He'd probably find him on 31 if you went up there.
On what channel?
31.
Oh, okay. I've heard some people talking on 31. I didn't know who it was. I never talked to him.
Well, up here at Hattieville, Jerusalem, and Cleveland, and points north, you got Cobra and Peanut and Grasshopper and me and Grave Robber and a couple others. Red Dog.
10-4. They all talk on 31.
Pretty much, yeah. If they're not working, yeah.
10-4.
Hey, Goat Roper, where's Stallion out of?
He's over towards Ozark, Lamar.
Oh, okay. So he's up northwest, huh?
Well, yeah, pretty much straight west from me, but yeah. Pretty good trip. I don't care. From Conway, it's a really good trip.
Yeah, Roger. Well, I've heard him on there before. I mean, I've been able to hear him and talk to him
you can't hear him, you definitely got a reception problem, because he's on a pretty little hill and he runs a little bit of horsepower.
Well, I reckon he does. I mean, he'd have to for this alligator station be able to hear him.
There's a couple out that way that could just clean your clock. Sluggo, he keeps a 4-element quad about half the time up in the air, and he's got enough amplifiers to scare a fella. Oh, I was hearing things.
Roger. Well, where's Lumberjack tonight?
I don't know. Did you hear that, PH?
What?
Somebody said something.
Well, I got my squelch all the way down and I didn't hear anything.
Okay.
I heard somebody scratching out there a little bit. I couldn't make out anything at all that they were saying, but yeah, and I could kind of see it on my meter too.
PH, I had a guy up in northeast corner up around Boston somewhere tell me my radio was transmitting a trashy station. I had a trashy station on sideband, and I was on the ICOM.
Huh. Well, it's all in what you consider trashy. Is it too wide? Is it not perfectly, like, walled off? Which is kind of surprising, being that it's coming from the ICOM. Did he say he was looking at it on, like, a spectrum display, like a waterfall or whatever?
A 46-inch screen on a flex. He said I was transmitting. I was on 390 or might have been 390, something like that, 370, something like that. I was tearing up his locals 5 kcs down, and I was on lower sideband. So I said, well, I can't help it if you're a specialist. I said, what radio are you on? He said, I'm on a flex. I said, well, maybe you need to narrow the filter bandwidth on your radio. Stop some of that.
Yeah, there's ways to do it. And I imagine he was probably right down there at 385 or something. So, who's to say it wasn't coming actually from 385, I guess?
Oh, he said he could hear me clear as a bell, 5 kcs down from... I was between channels, and a guy named Tony, me and him were talking, we were splitting the channel, and he got kind of perturbed at the guy. And I said, well, I guess you're a specialist. I said, I can't help it that you're a specialist. Everybody can't be a specialist. I said, what kind of radio you on? He said, a Flex. I said, well, doggone, maybe you need to tighten up the filters.
Huh. Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure he appreciated that.
Oh, he has a Flex, a big head. Like a Flex is the end of the world. I can tighten the filters up on my receive on my ICOM and make it to where if you ain't broadcasting dead on frequency, I won't hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you got? A Yaesu? You can do the same thing with that Yaesu.
Not really, no.
You don't have filter selection?
No, I don't. It's completely analog. There's no IF filter even on it.
See, on DSP though, he shouldn't have been. He didn't know how to run his radio. That's all in the world that was. It's like that receiver you got for your 148 or your 29. You can tighten or open up the filters on that and receive as wide as you want.
Yeah, I can receive or narrow down anything or stretch it out as far as I want. I think the widest filter that I have that I can receive with is, I think it'll go all the way out to 50 kilohertz or more, 50 or 60 kilohertz wide.
Yeah, I know. I watched a guy. We're down on 80 meters. Yeah, I think it was 80 meters. Maybe. Yeah, it was 80 meters. And they were talking AM. Them bunch that talk AM. And the guy was using a Flex, and this other guy come over and chewed him out. Because he was tearing up the sideband just a few kcs away. And the guy says, oh, that's not a problem. I'm talking AM because he's running an old Johnson, and it's a strictly AM radio, so I'm talking to him on AM because that's what he's got. He said, but I can fix it. Where are you located? He told him, he says, oh, that's not a problem. He took the sideband of AM, the lower sideband, out of the AM signal so that he wouldn't bother that guy.
He took it out of his transmit?
Yeah, with a Flex. One of those Flex radios had the ability to take the upper or lower sideband out of an AM signal.
Cool. Yeah, that's the thing about the Flex radios and anything that's basically the completely software-based radio is you really don't have any limits on the transmit or the receive.
Yeah, he just eliminated the lower sideband on his AM transmission. Kept right on talking, and the other guy was happy.
Right.
And it didn't hurt the guy on AM because he had a carrier and he had the upper sideband to hear.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff.
Software control radio. Yeah, that's really nice. I mean, my ICOM is software controlled, but it's not that much control.
There's some things that some ham radio guys are starting to use, and I'm kind of wondering when it's going to come down the pike and people are going to start fiddling around with it here on 11 meter. It's a little board. It's called Red Pitaya, I think is what it's called. And really all it is a multi-function signal generator oscilloscope board that interfaces with a computer which runs software to achieve those different functions, whether it's a signal generator or an oscilloscope or whatever. And I think it has like 2 inputs and 2 outputs. So you can run it as a software-defined radio, both transmit and receive, and use it basically to transmit any bandwidth you would want, and any modulation scheme as well. So that's pretty interesting. And like I said, they're kind of dabbling with it on I know there's quite a few people who are giving it a try on like 75, 80 meter AM. I'm just wondering how long it would take. It'll probably be a while before it gets up here, but it'd be something interesting to play around with.
Well, it's like I can take a dongle and put it on my 7300 and get 2 meters 70 centimeter real easy, you know, and real easy. But I'm not into it enough to want to do that. But I would be interested in some of that other stuff. If I could get the availability or the things, the flexibility like the Flex 3000 has, or the 5000, I think it's 5000, something like that. If I had that kind of ability, I'd want the Flex.
Well, the thing that's so intriguing, or kind of it's kind of a draw towards the Red Pitaya thing, is it's like a quarter or an eighth of the cost of a Flex radio. I think it's only like $250 or $300 for the board, and I think all the software is free.
And you can modify your radio with it?
You can transmit, like I said, you can transmit any modulation scheme, whether that be upper sideband, lower sideband, AM, FM, a whole host of different like IQ, or it's basically you can draw pictures on the I forget the name of the mode, but you can basically draw pictures on your waterfall, and anyone else who's listening with a radio that has a waterfall, you can draw images with that modulation scheme. So you can do all of that, and basically sky's the limit, because it's only limited by the software, and the software is pretty unlimited.
So you can make any radio you got sound like anything you want it to sound like.
No, this board is the radio.
But it needs a transmitter to get it on the air, right?
No. It is strictly the radio itself. The only thing that you need to do is you do need amplifier boards, so you need to gain stage it with like smaller to larger amplifier boards, because I think the output of that thing is only like, I want to say 10 milliwatts max.
Oh, so if you had a little, had one of those, oh my gosh, if you had one of those LD Moss amplifiers, you could go to town.
Pretty much. Which is, I think, what people are kind of starting to fool around with.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, I'd be a scary dude, because I'd invest in a bunch of LD Moss pallets, and yeah, I'd have one driving and half a dozen of them.
Yeah, I guess depending on what the input drive would need to be on your amplifier, you just use the smaller little stinger boards to kind of gain stage all the way up to whatever your drive power needs to be.
Yeah, that'd be fun. And you're doing it with a computer and a small circuit board.
Yeah, let me see if I can find the link to it.
Yeah, me and you and Walrus and Lumberjack need to get invested in that.
Well, I've thought about doing it. Not the Red Pitaya thing. Just because, I don't know, I don't think I would want it that much based on computer. But, and then also the only other thing is, like, there is a little bit of a lag with it because of the processing that has to take place. So when you key up and you start talking, there is a little bit of a lag.
Okay, so you gotta slow down on your quick key.
Right, so I'll kind of demonstrate. Then you could start talking. Maybe not that long, but, you know, you get the drift.
Oh, be like Good Time Charlie. Roger.
Right, you can't quick key and start talking so fast because you'd cut off the first stuff because you have that little bit of lag to go through the software, because your mic input goes to the computer, so you'd use a sound card to go into the computer and feed the software, which then the output of the software would go to the board.
Okay, you got to slow down your key and speak. There's some milliseconds there you have to adjust for.
Right.
Okay. Well, my crazy dog's making me take him outside. I'll talk to y'all in a minute.
Okay. But let me see if I can find this link to the Red Pitaya SDR, and I'll send it to you. Hello out there, is there anyone on frequency?
Yes, sir, I'm on frequency.
Good evening, sir. Is that Six Gun?
Yes, sir, that's me.
Well, good evening, sir.
How you doing this evening?
Man, I'm doing all right. Just finished up with check-in here, and just talking with Goat Roper about radio junk.
Yeah, I was listening. I missed check-in, but I was listening to that, and that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's just some nerdy stuff, I guess you could say.
Well, like I said, it sounded awful interesting. To be able to do that with just a little circuit board.
Yeah, it's really not all that big either. And you're cramming a whole lot more capability into something that's not much bigger than probably a deck of cards.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. And where do you get one of them from?
It's a company called Red Pitaya. So it's like, it's spelled like the color red, and then Pitaya. And I believe they have dealers that distribute their boards for them, but I think you can buy them also on their website.
What all you need to go with that now?
So basically, you'd need the board, which again you purchase from like Red Pitaya or like the dealer, whoever distributes that, and that is interfaced with a software program that you run on, say, a desktop computer or something like that. It's called GNU Radio, and that gives you all the capabilities of like your receiver and your transmit protocols and stuff like that. And then you run that in conjunction with like smaller amplifiers to increase the gain to the point where it's like an intelligible signal of like 2 watts or 4 watts or however many watts you need to have a competitive signal.
So can you run that into, you know, like just like say a Texas Star linear?
Well, you could, but you'd have to take a couple more measures before you'd run it straight into that. So the output of just the board itself is very, 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 very low. It's like 10 milliwatts, which is like not even close to the output of just your stock 4-watt CB radio. It'd be like comparing a stock Cobra 29 4 watts to like a huge AL80 tube amplifier, like a 3-500Z with a 800 watt or 900 watt output.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
It'd be like running a Cobra 29 on just the driver. I mean, you'd get out, but it wouldn't nobody hardly hear you.
Right, exactly.
So you'd need to have a driver and a final stage. You need to be able to run that into a driver and final stage, and then run it into an amplifier. So yeah, it's almost pain in the butt is what it is, 6-gun.
Well, right. There's definitely a pain in the butt aspect to it, but I mean this is definitely not for your average user, I would say. There's a lot of background stuff that you would need to set up on your own because there's not a lot of plug and play with this.
That was 6-gun you was talking to, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
See, I confused you with 6-shooter a while ago, and got embarrassed, sort of, if I could be embarrassed.
Well, you just messed it up again. It was gunslinger, not 6-shot.
All right, if he's listening, I'll apologize.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, 6-gun and gunslinger, right?
Yeah, you got it.
But they, to me, sound about the same, audio-wise, about the same age, too.
Yeah, they do sound really similar on the radio.
Hey, go, Roper.
Go ahead.
Only 43 years old and I get them confused.
Are you trying to make me feel better because I'm 61?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just talking human being to human being. I get them confused.
10-4. 6-gun, you hear that?
Yeah, I hear that. I didn't think there was anybody out there sounded like me.
Maybe you have a long-lost relative.
Bassier than you, but about the same. He's 57 years old, though.
Yeah, he's right at my age.
Yeah, I told him he was a pup.
Like I said, maybe he's a long-lost relative.
You don't have no family down there in Perry County, do you?
Oh, lived over there at Cherry Hill for the longest time.
You know, my grandpa, we drove to Cherry Hill from Mena. He was a preacher. He preached four or five different churches in a circuit preacher for one denomination. And we drove all the way to Cherry Hill. We drove to Pencil Bluff, Cherry Hill, and a couple other places when I was a kid.
Well, the church was right down the road from where my grandparents lived there in Cherry Hill. So I went down there. We used to go down there and pump water out of the well down there.
It wasn't one of them apostolic churches, was it? Pentecostal Church of God, one of them in Jesus' name churches?
You know, I can't remember what church that was, what the name of it was.
Yeah, he preached in 4 or 5 different churches. He's a circuit preacher, and but he was a oneness guy, you know, in Jesus' name only kind of guy.
Yeah, oops.
Kids' feelings because they, when their kids got baptized, he wanted to baptize them again to make sure it was done right.
Well, I mean, I guess I kind of get his point.
Kind of scrupulous, maybe.
Look, if you're putting them under the water in Jesus' name, they're baptized.
Uh-huh. I sent you that link there, Go Roper.
Okay.
Via the text message.
I was probably outside when it chimed.
Jer.
Yeah, I'd like to have one of them flex radios. So much with them. Excuse me, I didn't let off the button. I'd like to have one of them flex radios because you could do so much with them, but dadgum, I'd hate to be that guy telling me I had a trashy radio. I know that ICOM was right. I waited a while and I went on another channel out in California and I got some radio checks. And a guy in Vancouver told me, he says, man, you got a brick wall for a radio. He says, it goes so far and stops, and that's sideband.
Well, I don't know. There's some people down there on 30 or up there on 38 that definitely are very particular.
They're snobs when they don't have no right to be.
Uh-huh.
First off, if you're using a Flex radio or Apache Labs radio on 38, 39, 40 on sideband, and you're complaining about somebody's sideband on 11 meters, you're a snob.
Well, if it bothers them that bad, then I just move.
Shut up.
You double with, I think, Walrus. What'd you say?
Can you hear me? Can you understand me? Then shut up.
Yeah. I told the fella, I did. I told him, I said, well, you're on a Flex radio and you're hearing me 5 kcs down like I'm talking clear as a bell. Sounds like you need to tighten up your frequency filters.
Roger that.
He didn't like it. Not at all.
Well, did he have anything to say after that?
He just said I had a trashy sounding wideband radio. I said, thank you for the compliment.
Oh, well.
I did end up having to go back and pull my picture up on when I had my audio set up. Had it set up right. I gotta go to bring it back to dead center kind of picture of the settings. I had to bring it back. It was tweaked out, messing around, picking stuff up, moving around, and you bump stuff. But it wasn't enough to make it sound trashy.
Oh, well. It's pretty hard to make an ICOM 7300 sound trashy.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I know that. Listen, this equalizer makes a turbo sound pretty good.
Yeah, those UR6 QW things, they do a pretty darn good job.
Well, I'll tell you what, there you go, Roper. Anytime you get ready, I'll just take that old trashy wide-banded radio right off your hand.
Well, you know what? I might offer it to you. I really might. I got mine coming back, my $29.95. It'll be coming back sometime soon. I might offer it to you if you're serious.
You know, he's saving up for that flex radio.
I figure if there was any way I could do it, I would. Because I just can't imagine somebody saying that's a trashy county radio. Man, he must have been just jealous because that audio and everything on that radio sounds real good.
Well, now this is AM. If we went sideband, I mean, I did have to make some adjustments, PH. I will tell you, the last time we talked on sideband and you listened, it was out of whack. And when I looked at the pictures that I've got from the guy in Alamogordo, New Mexico, or whatever that is, the sound guy, that's what they call him, he helped me set my equalizer up, and I had to re-tweak it. So, yeah, it was a little trashy, I'm sure, on sideband.
Well, yeah, I guess. Sometimes even just minor things can make a pretty big difference. But that's all about it. You know, you experiment and you move stuff around and try things. And I think that's what some people lose sight of every once in a while.
Well, look, the old-timers that mess with them Johnsons and Vikings and Valiants and Collins transmitter, Heathkits and all that, they are a little bit more generous with their radio checks. I'm going to tell you right now.
Well, I guess they're just used to the old stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look, on them old Johnsons and the Collins and the Heathkits and all that stuff, Halliburton or whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Them old AM radios back in the day, if the air conditioner kicked on, you'd be off frequency just a little bit.
Yeah, the old stuff was definitely a little bit more sensitive to drift.
Yeah. Well, I was on the ICOM, and it's got a crystal oven, so I know I wasn't off frequency. And I'm looking at the waterfall, and I know the waterfall's showing what I'm transmitting, and it wasn't showing me but about so far up and so far down. And this guy was being a jerk. I mean, just genuine, serious jerk.
And you said he was out in California or Florida?
No, he was up in the northeast corner somewhere, Maine or New York.
Oh, well. Yeah, I went up there to Channel 38 the other day and listened on there. Since the last time I was on there, goodness sakes, it's kind of become a madhouse.
Well, on 38, you got a bunch of people hanging carriers and playing music. If they're not hanging AM carriers, they're playing music on sideband, but I'm still able to get them on there and tell them, hey, can you go down 5 KCs?
Yeah, I think that's what most people are doing.
He was just griping and complaining because I went down 5 KCs, and his receive filter was set so wide that I was keeping him from hearing the locals.
Yeah. Well, sometimes people just get a little bit of it. They just get a little bit out of whack for no reason and for trivial stuff.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. If I was on 80 meters and we were talking on, let's say, 39, 37.5. You know, 5 KC's above 39, 37. And everybody else is talking on 39, 37.0. You know what? I'd have to be pretty trashy for them to come up and tell me I'm bleeding on them.
Well, who knows? Walrus, are we boring you to death?
No, I'm loving the conversation. I mean, not only am I learning stuff, but I'm sitting here playing with my filtration and working it out to where I want it exactly, where I get it exactly how I want it.
Copy that. Well, what'd you have for dinner?
Had a chicken salad.
Ah, sounds pretty good.
PH,
Yes, sir.
I bought a couple of chuck steaks at Walmart. They were like $8. Maybe 10 ounces of meat. And I cooked them the way I like them and convinced little Angel that they were not rare. And that her freshly made potato salad, I boiled the potatoes and made them fresh. And some green beans cooked with butter and onions and till they run out of water and kind of charred a little bit. Boy, she was happy.
Yeah, dang it, that sounds pretty darn good. Chuck steaks and, yeah, my mouth is drooling. I had me some, like, Mexican bean dip stuff with crushed up tortilla chips in there. It was pretty good. And, I'm still kind of hungry, though. I need to find something more to eat.
Oh, that sounds good for a snack, man. I tell you what, I've been trying to get her to cut her carbs, and by feeding her the way I feed her, I get her the carb with like the potato salad, and been trying to get her sugar under control. Like last night, I fed her a salad with some leftover chicken. And, man, I'm going to tell you what, she ate that like it was filet mignon. And, boy, this morning she was, the night before last. Last night I fed her leftover spaghetti that I made, and, but it raised her sugar about 6 points. She wasn't happy.
Yeah, well, those carbohydrates from the noodles is what did it, I imagine.
Yeah, it only went up 6 points over what it was the day before. She didn't have any reason to be upset. But tonight she had homemade potato salad and green beans and some cooked steak, cooked in butter and olive oil with some onions and mushrooms. Boy, I'll tell you what, it was good.
Oh, mercy.
I bet it was good. Sounds good to me. I wish I was having that for dinner tonight.
I'm telling you, I seasoned that meat and then I threw it on that skillet with the olive oil and then when it hit down there and started searing, I threw the butter in there and the onions and the mushrooms.
Lordy. Goodness sakes. He's over here just acting like he's Gordon Ramsay over there in the kitchen.
My son spent 13 and a half years as a culinary specialist in the Navy, and most of the stuff he learned from me.
Roger that.
I knew early on that I didn't have any business being a short-order cook or running a restaurant because, no, it wouldn't work for me.
Well, why not? Because you would have to follow somebody else's formula?
No, because I And you seen me at the weight I am. If I was a chef, Lord have mercy.
Are you saying that it wouldn't make it out to the tables?
I'm saying that I'd have to have a wheelchair.
Roger that.
Look, I learned how to cook when I was a kid from scratch. I had a dietitian at the VA, told me, she's from Greenbrier. She told me, she said, man, I'm going to tell you what, it ain't what you eating, it's how much you eating. And she said, but I'm going to tell you something. You need to understand that if we went into a nuclear winter today, 6 months after you buried me from starvation, you'd be just now getting healthy.
Yeah, roger that.
So you mean to say that you're non-traditional prepper? You've got your food stores, just not canned.
I know how to take care. I know how to take care of my business. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, mercy.
And all that business is stored close to your chest and your gut, is what you're saying.
No, it's close to his heart.
I keep it out in front of me.
Roger, well, I do the same thing myself. Just ask PH when I was trying to climb up and down off of a ladder the other day.
Hey, but the thing is, this is what I told you, Walrus, the other day when you were doing that, is you're honest, and that's important, you know, to be honest with yourself, and I think you know your limitations, you know. That's a good thing to have.
PH.
Yes, sir.
Now, I got to tell you something. I ain't afraid to climb up that tower to the flat roof. I ain't a bit afraid to climb up the tower to the flat roof. But above the flat roof, we have a discussion to talk about.
I don't know. You better make sure that your guy wires are in the ground as they should be.
No, I got a step ladder to get me up to the flat roof.
I hear that.
Hey, PH.
PH, your bell's ringing.
Do what?
I was calling you, PH.
Yeah.
I wasn't scared, was I? I didn't have any problem getting up there. And I didn't have a problem getting down, except that my big fat belly got in the way, didn't it?
Well, I wouldn't say you were scared. You were more frustrated than anything.
Roger, but I wasn't scared to get up there. I mean, the heights wasn't a problem for me. It was the fact that I realized that what was dangerous about it was that I couldn't get my foot back down on the ladder because my damn big old fat belly was in the way, wasn't it?
Yeah, you couldn't swing around the ladder.
Walrus.
Yeah, go ahead.
I did cable TV back in the 90s, and I'm about the same weight as I am now, same size. And the guy that was teaching me how to do it, I looked at him and says, man, I said, I'm too big to be up there. He says, you're afraid of falling, aren't you? I said, yeah. He says, you just need to accept the fact that if you fall, you're going to die. And be done with it. And I talked to my dad about it, and he laughed at me. He said, what are you afraid of? I said, I was up there in BB, and the wind kicked up, and I was up on that ladder, and I thought I was going to get blown off. And he looked at me and started laughing. He said, son, it'd take a tornado to blow you off a ladder. What are you worried about?
Yeah, Roger. Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I done accepted the fact that if I fall, I'm going to die. I ain't worried about that. I had to get get over that a long time ago. But back when I did that, I was a skinnier fella, and so it was a lot easier for me. But you just had to be there. I mean, I reckon you've been there. But yeah, I was sitting there trying to get my legs swung back over the ladder, and my belly kept getting in the damn way, and I couldn't get a sure footing on there. And I mean, it wasn't that I was scared or shaky or anything like that. I wasn't scared of it. It was just I knew what I had to do. I mean, I had to just get my footing correct. And I was just too damn fat for it.
Let me tell you something. Lumberjack used to work with me back when I did cable TV. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm 40 pounds heavier than I was. I was 40 pounds heavier then than I am now. And I went up them ladders, 28, 30-foot ladders on a telephone pole. And I did them mid-spans, and he just looked at me and shook his head, and you've met Lumberjack. He ain't no big feller by any means, even then. And now he ain't no big feller by my standard. And I did a mid-span, and he was working with me. I said, the next one we have to do is a mid-span. You got to do it. And he said, looked at me, and I hooked it up to the mid-span. He looked at me and says, I quit.
Probably just told you, hey, you did that one just fine. Here's the next one.
You know what a mid-span is? That's where you put the hook on the ladders between telephone poles, and you trust the strand to hold you up. And that's where the tap is for cable TV. I said, and that's where next. This is your turn. He says, I quit. No, you ask him. He'll tell you, I quit.
Hey, goat roper.
Yeah.
Yeah, you may not believe it, but I mean, I've sat there and taken the 12-foot fold-out ladder and sat there and balanced it on that 1.5 inches between on top of joists, and slapped a nail on either side of it to keep it in place, and climbed up there on top of that thing and hung rafters and shit.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you right now. To this day, if you watch Lumberjack climb a ladder and get on a roof, he counts every step. And I'm not thinking bad of him. It's just funny to me. And I do. And I mean, he counts every step. 1 foot, then the other on the same rung. But, man, I did them mid-spans. I had to learn how to do it or starve. And I told him, it's your turn. He looked at me and says, I quit.
Well, that's funny. I mean, I get it though. But I mean, as far as like getting up on a tall ladder, I don't have any problem doing that. If I can work right there on the tip top of a ladder and sit there and work on it, it's getting up and down onto a roof, back and forth onto a roof, that I've run into problems with in my older age. Because I just, like I said, well, PH could describe it to you. I got so damn fat. I went to put my foot back down on the ladder, and my gut was in the way. My big old fat gut was in the way. I couldn't get my foot back down into a sure footing. But I could have stood there on the top of that ladder and did anything all day long, or even higher, a lot higher. I could get up on the top of a ladder and sit there and work. That ain't no problem for me.
Oh, I know what you're saying. That's one of them where you wish the ladder went up about 6 feet past the roof, where you had to get on and off so you had something to hold on to.
Yeah, but that's the thing. When I went to swing my leg back around and get my foot on that top rung or whatever, I couldn't do it because my gut was hanging over the top of the ladder.
Well, can you imagine hanging between two telephone poles on quarter-inch strand and trusting the hooks on that telephone pole to hold you up? I mean, on that ladder?
I can imagine that. I can't imagine that, and I don't imagine that it's fun. But yeah, I mean, I know what you mean by you got to get over it or starve.
Yeah, I did a job over in Mayflower, and Little Angel watched me do it, and I had to call the police and get them to direct traffic for me, because I had to stretch a coax from the east side of 365 to all the way over to the other side of the highway about 600 feet. And I had to spot a pole 300 feet from the highway. And Little Angel was out there with me, and she kind of was hoping, directing traffic. And the only reason I was out there is because the guys that did it to begin with didn't get it high enough, and a guy pulling a double-wide trailer with a chimney popped it.
Oops.
I had to get it up high enough that it took care of, high enough that the regular traffic wouldn't tear it up. And I went out there and did it. And my ladder on the pole at the highway, I had a 28-foot ladder, and I was standing on the top rung and reaching with my fingertips to get it done.
Roger, I hear you. Yeah. Dangerous business. I mean, I get it. I've been in similar situations where it was just, you're just reaching by your fingertips and could barely hold on or hold the weight. I understand. I mean, I hadn't been in that exact situation, but I've been in some similar ones.
Just give her all the weight.
Y'all missing one of the advantages of being a big boy, though.
Knowing you ain't going to get yanked off the ladder?
No. Fat boys are harder to kidnap.
You hadn't met me. I'm pretty much impossible. But it scared the bejesus out of Little Angel the day we had to run that coax. And it was RG11. It wasn't RG6, regular stuff you can buy at Walmart. It was RG11. It was like RG8. It was RG8U, big coax. And I was 400 feet away from the next telephone pole when I had to run that. And I had to pull for all my worth and get it up there where I could get it out of the way before the next truck went through.
Oh, wow, that'd have been something. And that stuff, you don't think about it, but you start pulling 400 foot of it, that stuff's heavy.
Yeah, I was 400 feet to the next spot pole from where the tap was, and I had to get that off the highway and up in the air before the next truck went through. And I had to go to Cabot and get the spool of RG11 because they didn't let us carry that out the shop very often.
Now, what's the impedance on RG11?
Oh, it's a 59 ohm, just like, or 75 ohm, just like RG6. It was satellite TV coax, or cable TV coax. But RG11 is like 50 or 75 ohm coax. But it's bigger coax. You can go farther away from the tap and still get your signal.
Damn horse.
But I was 300 feet from the tap, and I had to get it yanked off the highway up in the air, and I mean quick.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been good something.